Those fingers in my hair, that's like a minister that strips my conscience bare, it's witchcraft.
Hello, my wonderful friends. Magus here on a beautiful day back in the library. We're on chapter 6 of Circe. Are you guys loving this? 6 was such a good chapter. So we have Circe wondering now what happened to Scylla. She goes to her father's halls. She runs into her mom. And I like this part. Her mom, she's a character. I don't care for her very much at all. She points out, Circe, your feet are filthy. Can you not at least wash them? Circe says, I did not wash them. She's kind of like a tomboy, perfect for the island she's headed to. She says, I don't want to wait another moment. She has to find out. When she gets there, the halls are more crowded than usual. And then I like this stinking of that same rose oil. Every nymph insisted was her special charm. She sees her Aunt Celine standing up, telling the story of what she saw. She saw Scylla flailing strangely like a drowning cat and squid legs bursting out from her belly. And Circe's all, oh my, and she's all thinking her sisters, her cousins, right? Her family, her friends, her lovers are going to be so upset, so angry. They were not. They're laughing their asses off. They're saying, tell us the story again. They said their faces were bright and, oh, can you only imagine it? And just shrieking laughter, she said, clawed at my ears. I like this. I saw a river god who had sworn he would fight Glaukos over her, crying with mirth. Really kind of shows you what Circe's going to be getting away from is a good thing. There's no real friendships there. Even the family ties are not good, are they? I think of Circe and her mother and brothers and sisters and what we're about to see with her dad here. Of course, he's no dad, is he? Let's see. They go back and they're sitting in their couches. The cups were poured with ambrosia, passed around. Their lips grew red with wine. Their faces shone like jewels, and the laughter crackled around me. Circe, she's too good for these gods, I think. Let's see. She still hoped Glaukos would think of her now. She still would have married him in a moment, she said. Oh, let's see. She said a part of her was kind of hoping, though, that Glaukos would just weep and, just cry all of the tears out of his body, holding fast to his one true love. I think she wanted that just to see that there was something good still in Glaukos. But no, he just says, hey, that's a shame, but there's plenty others. And she goes on to say, over the years, he ended up laying with thousands of nymphs and siring, thousands of children and heirs. And so, it was never about one true love for these kind of people. Oh, she said, one by one, my hopes were dropping away, that she would share no eternity with Glaukos. He would have no marriage. We would never lie in those woods. His love for me was drowned and gone. Nymphs and gods flowed past, their gossip drifting in the fragrant torch-lit air. Their faces were the same as always, vivid and glowing, but they seemed suddenly alien. Their strings of jewels clacked loud as bird bills. Their red mouths stretched wide around their laughter. Somewhere Glaukos laughed among them, but I could not pick out his voice among the throng. And she had that thought that Prometheus said, not all gods need be the same. I love that. Not all gods need be the same. But she's seen now the halls, the nymphs, the gods, their jewelry, their red lips, their wine, their shallowness. She's feeling not in awe of it by any means. It's beginning where it almost turns her stomach. I like that. Oh, let's see. So she's thinking of Prometheus. Do you know what, guys? Give me a minute. This is a great chapter, but I got to go down a rabbit trail. I am loving Prometheus. I had not till just recently, I haven't studied a lot of Greek mythology because it's fucking stupid. It really is. The stories are so ridiculous, but oh my gosh, do I love Prometheus. And it makes so much sense. It's so reasonable. And I heard this guy, what was his name? Giorgiani or something, Dr. Giorgiani. He was saying that Prometheus that story may have come from Ahura Mazda, right? With the forethought and a good father, a loving father. I like that a lot, obviously. Oh, let's see here. I was not like them, she's thinking to herself. Then she's kind of having this conversation in her mind, like with Prometheus. He says, "Are you not?" The voice was my uncle's, resonant and deep. "Then you must think, Circe, what would they not do?" I like that. Was this a good idea? I mean, it finally leads to her discovering who she is, kind of standing up for herself and what she is. It gets her to her island, but what a rough trip to get there. She decides to confess to her father. She says, "It was I who made Scylla a monster and Glaukos a god." Helios doesn't believe her, of course. He doesn't think anything could come from Circe, any kind of power like that. That's not what got him angry. The thing that pissed him off was that she contradicted him. She said, "You're wrong." That takes some balls, doesn't it? To stand up to a god, which they, my teachings in Zoroastrianism, they shouldn't even be called gods because God means the highest principle of good, and these are not that, right? But she says, "You are wrong." I love that. I put a big star next to it, highlighted it, circled it. He says, "You dare contradict me? You who cannot light a single flame or call one drop of water," right? Always trying to tear you down. Yeah, maybe she can't do that, but maybe she can do a whole lot more. He burns the shit out of her, right? Which is so sad. Again, poor Circe. That father, again, you can't even use these words. We need more words in our vocabulary. These are not fathers. These are not gods, but that in her mind, her father would torture her so, just burn her up. It was horribly described with the blisters and the melting hands and just couldn't catch her breath, just broke your heart. Finally, she cries out and he stops. No one stops to help her. She thinks at least her grandma, she thought, would have maybe said a soft, kind word, maybe brought some salve to soothe her burns, but she just went on to bed. And that's the ones that she thought cared about her the most. Grandma, she did not. Oh, so heartbreaking. But you know what I've noticed? A lot of people, and I know this is a fictitious story here out of Madeline Miller's genius mind, but there's truth in stories, isn't there? And I just feel it all. And a lot of times people that reach those greatest heights have the most tragic stories. And so here's Circe standing up against the gods. having a real distaste for. Can you imagine? They're telling you this is the best it gets with their nymphs and their wine and their red lips and their jewelry and their beads and their purple robes. And she looks at it with disdain. Can you imagine how that would piss them off? But it's usually those ones that go against the crowd, that get knocked over the head, crucified, burned alive, that end up kind of making it in history as heroes that we look up to. Think about that for a minute. So she's thinking now, she's laying there burnt. She doesn't want to be laying there in the morning when they all come to be a spectacle. So she decides, I got to get to my island. I got to get to my woods. So she goes. It's just torture. She describes the pain, the searing heat, and then cool and just like pain she's never known. But then her godness starts kicking in and starting to heal. Oh, let's see here. What else we have? She says, yet as I knelt there, I did hear something, not a sound, but a sort of silence, a faint hum like the space between note and note in a song. I waited for it to fade into the air, for my mind to right itself, but it went on. I had a wild thought there beneath the sky. I will eat these herbs, then whatever is truly in me will be let out at last. I brought them to my mouth, but my courage failed. What was I truly? In the end, I could not bear to know. I wondered there so much. What would have happened if she would have ate that sap? What would have come out? What do you guys think? Her uncle, one of her uncles, comes to find her. She says, your brother, Adius, why have I forgot his name already? What is it? 80s? Yeah, 80s. He says, your brother 80s is here. You are summoned. She goes back to the halls. Brother, I said, I've missed you. So he's come because he heard what happened with Circe, what happened with Glaukos, what happened with Scylla. And he's come now to tell his father, this is Pharmaca. This is real. His father, Helios, says, no, it's not. He contradicts him, but I guess he does it in a way that doesn't, did he not do it in front of everybody, maybe? But he says, you are mistaken. Circe's waiting for that fire and wrath, but it didn't. And he goes on to explain, it's pharmakia is this art. He says all the brothers and sisters have it. Pasiphae rules with her poisons in Babylon. Perses conjures souls into flesh again. And Circe is the last and makes this proof. Oh, I like this here. It says, it might have been some trick of the hearth fire, but I thought I saw the light of Helios's face flicker. Right? He says, so what is that flicker? We're going to find out. He says, shall I give you a demonstration? He took some oil, put it on Circe's face. He pressed his thumb to my face and spoke a word too low for me to hear, and my skin began to itch, and then like a taper snuffed out the pain was gone. When I put my hand on my cheek, I felt only smoothness and a faint sheen from the oil. The power of healing another's flesh belonged only to the greatest gods. He just proved it to Helios that he has this power. But then what he says here, Circe says, my brother smiled as if he could hear my thoughts. And he says, that is the least of my powers. They are drawn from the earth itself. Now get this. And so are not bound by the normal laws of divinity. He let the words hang in the air for a moment. And that's when she saw on Helios's face, he was afraid. Wow. News runs through the halls, and now everyone's treating Circe different. Is it respect? No, it's more fear, right? Staying out of her way. Don't want her wrath on them. They realize she's powerful now. That can be a dangerous drug right there, fear. And sometimes people, they mistake fear and respect. And they want respect and honor so bad, but they'll settle for fear. Circe, I don't see that becoming a thing for her. Oh, let's see here. Circe asked him, this is important. When it gets my orange tabs, it means pay attention. She says, what was it you spoke when you healed my skin? He says, a word of power. A word of power. Circe says, will you teach it to me? He says, sorcery cannot be taught. You find it yourself, or you do not. I thought of the humming I had heard when I touched those flowers, and the knowledge that had glided through me. Any of you who have studied magic, Madeline Miller has stumbled upon some things. I'd love to sit down and have a conversation with Madeline Miller here. Let's see. Oh, this is good. She asked her brother, what if the Olympians try to take your spells from you? He smiled. I think they cannot, whatever they try. As I had said, pharmakia is not bound by the limits of gods. Oh, I got goosebumps through my whole body when I read that part. I looked down at my hands and I tried to imagine them weaving a spell to shake the world. But the certainty that I had felt when I dipped the sap into glaucous, oh, Magus. And tainted Scylla's cove. I could not seem to find it anymore. Perhaps I thought if I could touch those flowers again. Oh, let's see, what do we got here? She says, that was only the flowers, I said, that grants creatures their truest forms. Right? Because he's saying, don't you think it's strange? Because she's given all the credit to the sap and that it just grants their truest forms. But he's saying, don't you find it strange that your truest desires of what you wanted to happen is what happened? Right? He turned his philosopher's eye on me and describes to her that it's her desires, her deepest wants. It's that focus and that intent. That's where the magic really comes from. This is kind of funny. When I asked Hades if Glaucus feasted with the rest of the gods, he had grinned. He's hiding that blue face of his. He's waiting for everyone to forget the truth of how he came by it. So now Zeus goes off to talk to Zeus and comes back and has the final decree. Hades, it said, will be able to keep his kingdom as long as he agrees to be watched. His brother, he plays the part. He nods gravely, but Circe saw the smile in his eyes. I can veil the skies. Just try to watch me. The other brothers and sisters are pretty much let off because their powers came unbidden, unlooked for. But Circe, right, she went looking for the power. He says that she defied my commands and contradicted my authority. Good for you, Circe. The others did also, but they just did it a little more sneaky. He says, she's a disgrace to our name. That's not such a bad thing, is it? As we see what their name really represents. She must be punished. This cracks me up. She is exiled to a deserted island. I put in, oh yeah, baby. Let's go. I've been waiting to get to Circe's island for 6 chapters now. She doesn't know how great it's going to be yet. She cries out. She's pleading, begging. You know, isn't that funny? She just doesn't know yet. Oh, let's see. Everyone just turns their back on her. All her family, moms, sisters, brothers, grandma, uncles. Everyone just turns their back. Oh, let's see. Last page here. She's talking to her brother, and he's trying to tell her how to play the games, right? Just pretend, go along with her games. Like Helios knows that Hades is lying, right? But he just he's giving him enough respect, giving him some leeway to break the rules and just pretend like he believes him. They're not so concerned with truth, right? They're more concerned about rules and laws and the chain of fear, the chain of authority. He says, I'll never understand why you confessed. She's thinking of Prometheus, right? There's something about Prometheus and that just living in truth has that foresight. I'm going to do it different. I don't have to be like the other gods. I like this, made me laugh. Hades says, I finally met your Glaukos last night. I've never seen such a buffoon. I hope you will choose better ahead. I like that. Oh, let's see. So now she's packing up and getting ready to be exiled to her island. Chapter 7. I can't wait. All right, guys. I love you. I'll see you. Well, for you that follow my Zoroastrian teachings, I'll be back tonight with Zoroaster's book, chapter 2. A lot of love on that one. A lot of high watch times. A lot of comments. I love that. So I'd love to see some of you guys from book club come on over, check it out. Some Magi magic. That's the passion and love of my life. Asha is. All right. I love you guys.